What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA podcast, the 10-7 MMA show, and we are back, and it is Independence Day. A lot of people are taking today off, not the 10-7. We are here, as per usual, 1:30 p.m. PST. We won't miss, even if we got a national holiday. So we got some stuff to talk about. We are in a bit of a lull right now. I think Derek Lewis is fighting next weekend, and then after that is UFC 318. So we're going to talk primarily about UFC 318, plus a couple other little fun topics. And if you guys saw, we put out a poll about Khamzat versus DDP, and we're going to share those results later on in the show. We'll get to that in a bit. But Justin, let's start off the bat on this July 4th on Independence Day, talking about the headliner for UFC 318. I've heard some people not so excited about UFC 318, but let's talk about this main event, which I think is pretty awesome, even though it's just BMF title on the line. Poirier versus Holloway. Justin, before we get into what we think is going to go down, are you excited for this fight?
Love the fight. I mean, fan of both of these guys, both incredible strikers. Poirier, it's his last fight. He wants an exciting fight. This guy, I guarantee he's going to go out there on his shield. I mean, he's going to put it all forward. He's going to try and knock Holloway out. Holloway's coming off a big knockout loss. I don't think he's fought since he got knocked out.
No.
By
Topuria?
By Topuria. Let's see if he can come back and get it together. But I know Poirier is going to be dotting all his I's, crossing all his T's, knowing it's his last fight. And I know he wants to come out there and put on a banger. He's not going to lull this fight to sleep. And, there's a lot of times, in a matchup like this, I'd almost like to see, for Dustin to ensure victory, I'd like to see him mixing his wrestling, mixing his grappling. But since it's his last fight, I think he's going to go out on his shield and he's going to try and put on a show for the fans.
Well, he said that. He's like, hey, I'm going to go out with a bang. This is the last time I'm going to feel all these emotions. Because I was listening to an interview today with him and Megan O'Leary, and he says, guarantee you I'm going to need stitches after that. So after this. So I'm pretty sure he's going to go out there and bang. Dustin does have some pretty good jiu-jitsu. And how amazing would this be? How amazing would this be if he jumps the guillotine and gets it? He's been saying he's going to get it.
I don't see Holloway tap into a guillotine.
Yeah, but you know how Dustin always talks about jumping guillotine and how he tried to pull one on Khabib and he just feels like he always gets it in front. That would be amazing if he gets the guillotine. So do you think Dustin's going to pull it off since it's his last fight? It's in Louisiana. All the pressure's on. He wants to go out with a bang. Do you think he's going to get it?
Ah, man, tough to say. Holloway's a dog, and, he keeps, every time he's lost, he's come back stronger and better, and he's going back to 155. I mean, Holloway's somebody you can't cancel out or write off, even if he's coming off.
Oh, you cut out for a second there. But so you're saying you can't.
Can you see me now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see you now.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It's as soon as we put on the show, someone has to call me. Of course, not one person's called me all day. Holloway's not somebody that you can write off. He's not somebody that you want to say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to lose this fight because he's too tough and he knows what's on the line right here. There's a lot before, and again, it's somebody that you can never just write off.
I am gonna pick. I agree. He's not somebody you can write off, and I think it's gonna be a great fight. I just have to see. I have to see Dustin going out and getting the victory. I'm gonna have to predict that with my heart, maybe a little bit with my head. I think who's a better boxer, Max Holloway or Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, well, it depends. I think they're two different styles of boxing. I feel like Dustin is a little bit more of a power puncher when you have Max Holloway, who's a volume puncher. So it's tough to say. I don't like to compare. Now, if they were similar styles, two power punchers or two volume punchers, I think I could give you better. But there's arguments to be made on both sides.
Oh, Pern says, I thought Poirier retired. No, not yet. This is his retirement fight. He's got one fight left in Louisiana, in New Orleans.
Hey, let me, I'm going to reset my thing because when Richie called, it disconnected my headset. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right. So there's the fight. This is for the BMF title. We'll see I wonder if Dustin Poirier wins the BMF title too. What's going to happen? That's kind of an interesting question because if he goes out there, gets the victory and then steps away, what happens with the BMF? Do they just bring it back in at some point to get a makeshift title or what's going to happen? I'm not sure. And Pern, thank you for staying with us today. It looks like we got a pretty low attendance rate on July 4th on Independence Day in the United States, but it's all good. We're going to be here regardless. Okay. Now, the next topic I want to move on to is actually Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Ige. This is also on the card, but we really need to get Justin to weigh in on this fight because Justin is very familiar. Justin, I was just talking about you. You're very familiar with both Patricio Pitbull and Dan Ige. Dan Ige trains at Extreme Couture. I believe Pitbull does as well. What's your take on this fight and this matchup that's going to be on UFC 318?
Pitbull doesn't train in the coutures.
Oh,
I mean, I'm very familiar with him because my last opponent, Lloyd Mix, has beat Pitbull before.
got it.
With that being said, I feel that Pitbull is kind of at the end of his career. Ige has still a lot. I think he still has a lot of miles left on it. I think this is a good matchup for Ige. Pitbull has an incredible name behind him, man. He was a great fighter in Bellator, but I just think he's kind of at his wits' ends. His kind of career's coming to an end. And he's going to be collecting a paycheck. He's not a championship caliber fighter, and I still think Ige has enough miles on him, not only to get this job done, but to be a top contender in the featherweight division.
Oh, okay. I like it. All right. Awesome. So, Danny, that was really, I don't have a lot of expertise in this area. So I just wanted to pass that over to you. I thought it was an interesting fight. We got one more. I know we're kind of burning through the topics today, but we're going to slow down in a minute when we get to topic number 5, where we did that poll. And I'm curious to share those results and whatnot. But let's talk about one more fight here that's kind of interesting. We got Paulo Costa coming back and fighting Roman Kopylov. Kopylov is, I think, an awesome striker, really fun fight style. With this matchup, I think Costa's the older fighter by a couple years. What do you think about this matchup? Are you leaning any particular way between Costa and Kopylov?
Yeah, the last couple of times I've seen Costa fight, I wasn't impressed by him. He was like earlier in his career, I just felt like he was this dog that was going out there and just slanging him and was slanging and banging. And the last couple fights, I feel he looks really lethargic. Yeah, it looked to me like when he was fighting Sean Strickland that he wasn't like he was backing up essentially the whole time. His gas tank looked compromised already. So how serious is he taking this? Does he still want to be the UFC champion? Because after you have a couple losses in the UFC, you might lose that motivation and understand like, hey, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and he might be fighting for other reasons, whether it's a paycheck, whether it's a bonus. But again, he didn't look great against Strickland. Again, fighting off his back foot the whole fight. I think he's taking some losses here. He just doesn't look like the same fighter anymore. I think this is Kopylov's time. I think he handles Costa pretty handily.
I think so too. I would be confident to bet on that. If you look at the rankings right now, man, Paulo Costa has really dropped off. I mean, title shot, I don't think so anymore. He's ranked number 13. Even if he got a win against Kopylov, Kopylov's ranked 14th. So this is probably more of a fight for Kopylov to move up in the rankings. But yeah, I don't see that. I did think that Paulo Costa had his moments when he fought Robert Whittaker. I don't really remember how well he did or how poorly he did against Sean Strickland. But as you said, he was backing up the entire time. Yeah, I feel like he's at a point now where maybe, I mean, this is just a theory, but I feel like he is possibly collecting a paycheck. So I see it going the same way as you as well. I think this 318 card is shaping up to be better than people think. I think there's some interesting fights. As much as Paulo Costa may be checked out, I think he's still a really fun fight style. He still brings it every time. So I'm excited to see this fight. And now we move on to your boy, Daniel Zellhuber, who's also on this card. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, when I was training at Extreme Couture last Saturday before UFC 317, I was actually trading in a cage with Nick Stick and Zellhuber, and I didn't recognize Zellhuber, but I was with my girlfriend, and I was like, yo, check this guy out. His Muay Thai is insane. Like, he just looked like an animal. Even Nicole was like, yo, that dude is so athletic. I'm like, well, he's a UFC fighter. We got Daniel Zellhuber fighting an OG of the game, Michael Johnson, who's fought against so many greats. I think Michael Johnson fought against Khabib back in the dude. He's been around for so long. I'm gonna see how old he is. I don't even know how old he is.
Talk about a great guy. Talk about a great guy, man. In and out of the cage, he's always been so humble. The couple times when I fought Charles Rosa and my fight before that, me and Michael Johnson were at the PI. We cut weight together. He was with me, like, it was really cool. Like we're in the hot tub with this vet. And like I'm kind of dying, and he's dying as well, but he wasn't showing it as much. And I'm like, I need to get out. He's like, come on, man, 2 more minutes. And he's like, come on, just sit 2 more minutes. I was like, all right, man. The legend tells me to do it. I got to do it, man. So I have so much respect for Michael Johnson, and I really want him to win this fight. But Daniel Zellhuber, man, what another great guy, great teammate, Extreme Couture, always helping, always so nice, man. And I talked to, and he's so real too, and that's something I really appreciated. Is like when I've been in some dog fights before, in fights, like people are like, man, that was a dog fight, man, you're a freaking dog, and I kind of embraced it, like, yeah, I am a dog. When I told Daniel, I was like, dude, that's one of the best fights. He says he hated it. He doesn't want to fight like that.
Let's explain what you're talking about. You're talking about his performance at Sphere last year at UFC Noche. He had basically one of the best fights of the year. Where
honestly, I think it's in the top And unfortunately, sorry to cut you off. I'm going to make a better habit of it. But not only of the year, guys, if you haven't seen Daniel Zellhuber fight at UFC Noche, you're missing out. I think to me, it's one of the best fights ever. And I'll tell you why not a lot of people are considering one of the best fights ever, because he's not a big name. He's not Conor McGregor. He's not Habib, but if you take his name out of it and just say these are two no-name guys and you watch this fight, like, Daniel gets dropped 2 or 3 times in the fight. He drops his opponent 2 or 3 times in a fight. If you guys haven't seen Daniel Zellhuber fight, he's just an incredible dog that just doesn't give up. And like I said, I talk to him at the gym. I see Daniel all the time. Every time he sees me, he goes out of his way to say hi for no reason. And I just have so much respect for guys like that, because you got guys like, when I came to Couture's, like, I was training with Vitor Belfort, Evan Dunham, Tyson Griffin. Like, Vitor Belfort obviously is a superstar, but he's a fucking asshole. Like, he's just very arrogant the way he walks around. He doesn't, like, I remember, like, I was training in the cage once and he asked me to get out, and I was like, hey, what do I need? He's like, I need to stretch. I was like, what? I'm sparring in the small cage and you're asking me to get out so you can stretch? And, I was 20 years old. So, obviously I got out of the cage, and he just sat in the middle of the cage and stretched for 20 minutes. Like, he could have done it anywhere else. And, just like when you got a guy like that, with that kind of superpower or superstardom, and just the way he is, how arrogant he is, I could never root for him to lose. And then you got Daniel Zellhuber, who's obviously not Vitor Belfort, but he's still an incredible fighter. He's still a great UFC fighter, and just how humble he is. And like, I'm coaching cardio kickboxing, and he'll come over and hit the bag every single day. Hey, coach, do you mind if I hit the bag? It's like, well, just like I said the last 25 days in a row, no, I don't mind. But he still is that fucking good kid, and you can't root against him. Actually, I love this fight for fans, but I hate this fight because one of these guys has to lose.
Now, let's talk about who might lose, because I know you're a big fan of Michael Johnson, but let's talk about this. Now, when I was training with Zellhuber in the cage, I was like, dude, he's huge. And I forgot he fights at 155. He is 6'1", might be the tallest in the lightweight division, at least in the top 15 or wherever he's ranked. So he's huge. He's also only 25. So we got the age difference. I looked up Michael Johnson while you were chatting. Michael Johnson's 39. We got Zellhuber at 25. I mean, all the statistics are telling me, I feel like after what we saw from Zellhuber at UFC Noche, Zellhuber is going to get it done. I feel really strongly that way. I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your take?
I agree, man. I think this is a great setup for Zellhuber, coming in, the young kid. This could be a passing of the torch to Michael Johnson, but we can't count Michael Johnson out, because Michael Johnson has knockout power. When Zellhuber was at Noche and they're going back and forth, I feel Zellhuber is a much better striking technical striker than Michael Johnson. But Michael Johnson doesn't drop people. He doesn't TKO people. This guy knocks guys out, and with how much damage Zellhuber took at UFC Noche, like I said, he got dropped 2 or 3 times in the fight. I don't think Michael Johnson's if he makes contact, I don't think he's going to drop Zellhuber. I think he can still put him out. With that being said, I'm riding with Zellhuber on this. He's the younger guy. He's the fresher guy. He has the lesser miles. I think he's more technical, but he better keep his hands up against Michael Johnson.
Dude, his striking, again, I saw him hitting pads. It's not like I saw him sparring or fighting or anything, but like, holy smokes, he just looked like he had been training Muay Thai since he was 2 years old or something like that. His striking was so technical and so awesome, and he had so much power. Again, he's got long limbs, and he's also a super athlete is what it seems like. So I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it very well might be a passing of the torch, but if not, if Michael Johnson can pull it off, that'll be a fun fight as well, just to see the OG get back in there and do his thing. All right, moving on. Now we get to the post, okay? So we're going to talk about Khamzat versus DDP. So a couple of things I want to show you guys. First of all, I'm going to share the post that we put up on our channel earlier. I think it was today or it was yesterday. Okay, so check this out. I'm very disappointed in everybody who voted on this, because I humbly disagree with this. But look at this. 68% of people, we have 63 votes. 68% of people are picking Dricus du Plessis. I'll give that a like. Versus only 32% is picking Khamzat Chimaev. Moreover, I did a video earlier today, okay? And you know who I was waiting for to weigh in on this fight was, of course, Robert Whittaker. Now, I made a video not too long ago, got like 20,000 views, but Robert Whittaker didn't make an official pick. He kind of alluded to who he was going to choose in this fight, in this matchup. But today, or yesterday, 11 hours ago or whatever, an interview came out of Robert Whittaker, and he finally made a pick. Do you know who he picked?
I do not.
DDP. And that was very upsetting for me because I was like waiting for Robert Whittaker. And I'm like, this is an opinion we can trust. He's got a super high fight IQ. He does great analysis, and he's the only guy to have fought both of them. Now, what he said is this. He says, of course, Khamzat is going to get DDP down. Nobody disagrees with that. He for sure will get him down. But the question is, what happens after that? And he believes that DDP will weather the storm. And once he weathers the storm, he will beat Khamzat Chimaev. Is this the narrative that you're going with? I feel like you're kind of leaning towards DDP as well. Is this what you think is going to unfold and happen as well? Or do you see something different happening?
I see it just like Robert sees it, man. And I'm going to put my money on DDP. I think he's going to be a small dog in this fight. And so there's going to be a lot of value in this. And here's the thing. Everyone keeps doubting DDP. Everyone said, he was supposed to lose to everybody. He wasn't supposed to be Sean. Wasn't supposed to be Sean in the rematch. Wasn't supposed to be Israel Adesanya. Wasn't supposed to beat a lot of these guys he had. Now you got Khamzat on the other side, who is a huge hype train. He has so much hype behind him. Oh, he's the greatest. He's the baddest. And, when you talk about sports betting, Aaron O'Rourke told me this a long time ago. He says, usually hype trails get derailed. Eventually they will get derailed. And I think DDP is the guy to do it because, again, he's coming in as that huge underdog. A lot of people, I've doubted him through the years and he keeps proving me wrong. So my gut says Khamzat's going to win this fight, but history is going to repeat itself. And DDP, I think, is going to the storm. He's going to put Khamzat in some spots that he's never experienced before. And we're going to see the mental toughness of Khamzat in this fight. I don't think he's going to go in there. If he goes in there and gets a really quick finish in the first round, I will be semi-surprised, but I feel that's his route to victory. I feel the longer this fight goes, the better chance DDP has. And again, I kept going against this guy. I've bet against him so much. I've never bet for him. I lose. And I know people are criticizing, oh, well, since you've lost every bet, like that's not the, shut the fuck up. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Like this guy is a lifelong underdog, and when you have a lifelong underdog, he's going in, he's the underdog again, Khamzat again. When you're expected to win, like in any competition, when you're expected to win, and it's just like, it's so much more pressure and so much more weight. And then you got someone like DDP who's constantly expected to lose, but he keeps finding ways to win. He keeps persevering. And to me, I think that's a superpower. When you can consistently be the underdog and consistently find ways to win, consistently, overcome the odds of everything. And now he has this huge obstacle he has to overcome, the hype train of Khamzat. Can he overcome this? The answer is yes. DDP wins decision.
Okay, let me say something real quick. So first of all, I have not picked against DDP every time. I actually picked DDP to beat Strickland the second time. I think my prediction was pretty spot on there. I'm a big fan of DDP. I just think Khamzat is on a different level. By the way, you know where he's training for this camp for the next 6 weeks? He's training in Newport Beach, California with Jackson at the Jackson podcast at their facility. They have a training center in Newport Beach. So they've invited Khamzat.
So,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. So like now I really think when you have big changes to your training regimen, your training camp, I feel that can, because man, I don't know, man, he's been doing under the same coach, doing the same gym for so long. He's had great success, and now to make such a huge change this late in your career, especially when you have a guy like DDP, maybe there's a body over there that he feels that can emulate DDP, but I don't like big changes in diet. I don't like big changes in training. I don't like big changes in coaching staff leading up to huge events like this.
I don't know if it's a training and coaching staff per se. I believe he's still bringing his coaching team, but he'll just be, and I think he's doing it because he wants to be local, maybe to adjust to the time zone or whatnot. Actually, that wouldn't even be the right time zone. But yeah, I know. And he's training also with Arman Sarukian is out there as well. So he's going to have some other fighters and whatnot to train with. I don't know who, if anyone, can even emulate DDP. So that's going to be a whole nother thing. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Let's just see what happens. We'll see what happens in this fight. I'm a little disappointed that Robert Whittaker picked who he picked, but hey, it does make you think and make you question and make you wonder how this is going to go down. But this is just all the more reason why this is the biggest and best fight of the year, bigger than Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Like, that was cool because of the way it ended, but this fight is way more interesting to me. Both guys undefeated in the UFC, both guys undefeated at middleweight in particular. Let's see what goes down when this goes down. Okay, we're going to read through some comments here. So first of all, Pern says, for sure, my money is on Kopylov. I agree. And we also have MGAL4 Productions. Happy 4th from Miami, boys. What's up? What's up? And he says, Justin, I'm rooting for Chris Curtis next week. Legend. Chris Curtis, is this his first fight at welterweight?
That I don't know. I tell you what, though, I trained with Chris yesterday, or I shouldn't say I trained with him because I haven't been really training, but I was watching Chris train yesterday. He was working with Nate, his striking coach, and man, he looks good. He looks lean. He was doing mitts for a while, then he came over and hit the bag for an hour. This guy's lean. He's mean. He's ready to go. I can't wait to see Chris Curtis at welterweight.
Let's go. Prince says I need to check up on Zell Huber. Yeah, he is incredible. Shamaev takes him out. Let's go. MGal4 Productions says Shamaev is going to get the win. I agree. Wow, 8 fights with Zell Huber on Fight Pass. How did I miss that guy? Yeah, he's been around for a little
He's
bit.
awesome, man. He's fucking awesome. He's such a great kid. You can't root against him.
So Pern says Khamzat looks like he's carved out of rock right now. I haven't seen a recent photo of him. Last but not least, Pern says watched a bunch of DDP fights after Justin's breakdown. Made so much more sense to me all of a sudden. Yeah, he's really good, man. Yeah, that breakdown, in case you guys haven't seen, you should definitely check it out. I think a lot of us are almost like confused as to what DDP is doing and why and how. But Justin breaks it down into 3 particular things that he does constantly that give him an advantage or allows him to surprise his opponents. You know, one thing that they were saying, Luke Rockhold and TJ Dillashaw, they said actually if you look at the striking of DDP and Shamaev comparatively, Shamaev has the better striking, but that's from a classical standpoint. The thing with DDP is he's got that unorthodox style, the things that Justin pointed out that he does that makes him difficult to predict. So it's a weird thing when you compare their striking, who's going to be superior. But Shamaev, don't sleep on his striking. He's trained multiple times at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. Like his striking is incredible. And remember, he has a 1-punch knockout against Gerald Meerschaert at middleweight, not a welterweight, at middleweight. This dude can bang. So who knows, man? I mean, like the fight's crazy. Does DDP have any like quick knockouts? I don't think so. Not like Khamzat.
DDP,
Dude, Khamzat.
no, not like Khamzat.
No way, dude.
Well, here's the thing too. It's a great style matchup too. When you talk about DDP and watching that breakdown, and it was really cool because after we came out that video, Huzaifa posted on Instagram, and almost immediately I got a follow from DDP on Instagram.
Yeah.
So obviously he agreed with my take and what he's doing. But when we talk about, there's 3 things that I broke down. He switches his stance all the time. There's one breakdown in like 15 seconds. He switched his stance like 7 times, like literally 7 times in about 15 seconds. He throws off angle shots, like he'll throw his big looping left by stepping with his right foot. And traditionally, you don't do that, or vice versa. He has blitzing techniques. What the problem is, like Khamzat, like he's going to be trying to push Khamzat backwards, and Khamzat isn't a very good backwards fighter. With that being said, I think when he does his blitzing techniques, like his left overhand with his right step and his right overhand with his left step, he's going to be Khamzat might be trying to time them and come in, because again, when you're throwing these big shots, your hips are exposed, and I'm very curious to see how Khamzat's going to deal with that. Is he going to be able to change his level with DDP, knowing what his blitzing style is? How is he going to combat? What's the defense to the defense? Because again, Khamzat can sit back and wait for him to blitz because he's going to blitz. He does it every fight. And what's DDP going to do to combat that? So I'm excited about it.
Or what's Khamzat going to do to combat that? I think it's going to be a
Well,
problem.
no, I don't know. So what I think Khamzat's going to do to combat is going to change his level when he blitzes. But yes, DDP is going to know that. So how is he going to what's going to be his defense to Khamzat changing his level when he blitzes? So this is when we talk about levels to the game. So level 1, Khamzat, or level 1, DDP's blitzing. All right. Level 2, Khamzat is changing his level for the takedown when Khamzat blitzes. So what is DDP going to do to defend the takedown when he blitzes? Because his offense is off his blitz. He's going to blitz. He's not going to change his whole style. We know he's going to blitz. But how is he going to camouflage his blitz in order to land these big looping strikes? When you have someone like Sean Strickland, who you can blitz at him because he's going to play in that Philly shell and he's going to lean back. And if you watch the Khamzat breakdown and you watch the Khamzat fight, which I've watched, it was very awesome rewatching these fights because, you know, when we sit and watch DDP, we're like, what makes this guy so good? And I didn't really have an answer for it. And he was unorthodox. But when I really broke these fights down, and I mean, every time Khamzat would go on the offense, I'd pause it, slow-mo, rewatch it 3, 4, 5 times. And I really got a great look at what DDP is doing. Now, again, against Sean Strickland, Sean's playing in that Philly shell. DDP, I keep fucking it up. DDP can throw these looping strikes, but Sean can lean back out of the way, and that's why a lot of the body strikes were working. With Khamzat, he's not going to lean back. He's going to change his level and go forward. So I'm just curious what DDP is going to do. With his athleticism, I could see him setting up like a blitzing technique, seeing Khamzat change his level and throwing like a flying knee and trying to knock him out.
Oh, that would be devastating. Let's hope that doesn't happen. I don't think so. I think he's gonna blitz. I think he's gonna try and counter. I think it's not gonna work. Khamzat's too fast. Khamzat's gonna get him down. He's gonna get him down. The question is, will he get back up? And then the other question, which people aren't even acknowledging, is who really has the better cardio. Everybody is assuming it's DDP that has the superior cardio. I actually disagree with that, but I guess we'll find out, or maybe we won't. It might be a first round finish from Khamzat, in my opinion, but we shall see. Okay, let me play a couple, post a couple comments that we've gotten, and then we're going to move on to the final topic. So Matthew says, happy 4th from Louisiana. Let's go, Dustin. It's going down very soon. Melissa's back in the chat. What's up, Melissa? Thank you for posting, and thank you for watching. We appreciate it. She says, did you say, and by the way, me and Melissa back in the day went to Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz a couple years ago with Jesse on Fire, so that's how we know each other. Huzaifa, did you see Bo Nickel walk back his trash talk about the haters from his loss? I mentioned it because you made a video about it. Yes, I did see that. So he talked about that on Ariel Helwani's show. And basically what he said was, when he at first he was like, hey, I'm just going to pray for the haters. I wish them the best. And maybe they're unhappy with their lives, and that's why they're hating on me. And he like gave a really positive statement. Then on his podcast later on, he was like, yeah, if I see any of those guys, I'll spit in their face and do all this stuff. Like he went dark. Then on Ariel's show, he's like, no, that wasn't real trash talk. I actually said a bunch of other stuff. I said I could approach it that way, but I'm not going to. And they cut that part out. It was my fault. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That was on your show. Who cut it out? So I actually did see him walk back the trash talk. I don't believe it. I think that he was revealing how he truly felt, and he was angry, but I'm okay with it. My whole point of my video was, yo, let it hang out. You don't have to be the good guy. Dip into being the bad guy a little bit. He's so hated right now. I say you take on that role and talk some smack back to the haters. Talk some smack back to all the people who are saying you suck or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's my opinion. I don't know, Justin, if you agree or disagree. By the way, Pern says he wants you, Justin, to commentate, I guess, the DDP versus Khamzat fight. Yeah, you should, right?
One day, I hope to get the call.
Not too far from now. Justin was on UFC Fight Pass last weekend for the Tough Enough fight. So UFC Fight Pass, one step away from the UFC. Okay, now for our final topic, we are going to get back to something that Justin made a video about earlier in the week. Now, if you haven't seen this video, you guys need to check it out. It has to do with the way that Michael Bisping treated Laura Sanko. So check this out. We're going to play a little bit of a clip. We're not going to hear Justin's reaction. We're just going to play the clips that were particularly uncomfortable to watch and what we feel like was really rude, really disrespectful behavior coming from Bisping to Laura Sanko during the weigh-in show. Check this out for yourself, and then we're going to talk about it. The question we want to pose to you guys is, does Michael Bisping owe Laura Sanko an apology? We believe absolutely he does, but you guys decide for yourself. Check this out.
Restaurant store.
30 chairs, non-squeak. 15 non-wobble.
Like, at a DC, you've got the best tits. You know, that counts for something.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah. Oh, they are nice tits.
Jerry,
The cameraman were disappointed this wasn't.
Okay, so then there's a clip from Sean, but let's not talk about the Sean stuff. I want to focus specifically on Michael Bisping. Now, what this clip doesn't show is there's more to it. There's actually a part where Bisping, they're supposed to do like pretend Hall of Fame inductions. And the point is to like be laudatory about the person, to be like, hey, they're amazing. They've done all this stuff. And Bisping just took it as an opportunity to make fun of Laura. Now, I get playful banter. I get teasing people. I get all of that. But to comment on her body like that when she's trying to be a professional, she's already up against it, being a female and also being an attractive female. Unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword in this case, because I think it's harder for her to get people to take her seriously. And so on top of that, then you have your colleagues like treating you in this way. So what do you guys think? Does Michael Bisping owe Laura an apology? And Justin, let me turn it back over to you. If you guys missed the video and didn't get to see Justin's entire response, you should check it out. But Justin, let me turn it over to you as a professional fighter, as a professional athlete. What is your take on everything you saw in that quick clip?
So first things first, it's regardless as a professional athlete, just as a man, here's the thing, guys. I'll be blunt about it. I really don't care. Like, I'm super perverted. I am crass. I mean, this is something that I would say to a close girlfriend of mine. All right. And I know Michael and Laura do have a great relationship. They're great friends, but I would never say this. And like I say it on a public forum, and I definitely think so, because she's already battling an uphill battle being an attractive color analyst and sports analyst. So, and the relationship, regardless, I have a friend, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I have a friend, like, if I have a girlfriend, like a girl that's a friend, and we have this kind of relationship where we talk like that to each other, where I can be playful like that, even in a nature like that, that doesn't give my friend doesn't have the same relationship with her. All right. So just because I say it doesn't mean my friend can say it. Does that make sense? All right, so with that being said, now we're moving on. Michael says this, and yeah, okay, they're friends, and yes, it was a wildly inappropriate for the public broadcast. But then this Joe Schmo fat dude in black, doubles down on it. And the reason he doubled down on it, because he felt, oh, well, Michael said it, so I can say something like that too. And that's
that was crazy.
That was just wild, man. And I'd really like to know who this guy is. And
I know who he is. You want me to tell you?
I do want to know.
He's a mentalist. Do you know what a mentalist is? It's like a guy who reads minds, basically.
So he's nobody, in another
words. Nobody. He's nobody in the MMA community, yeah.
So how dare this guy take the relationship Michael Bisping has with Laura after Michael, again, I understand they're friends, and he wants to say this off air, and it's, maybe a group, but, and they're hey, that's on there, and that's their relationship. But millions of people saw this clip, and then you have this mentalist who knows who this guy is and who knows his relationship, but then doubles down on it because of the relation Michael has with her. Like, this is, and Laura has been faced with a lot of controversy with people talking to her. Like, when you watch that next clip of Sean, like, I'll be honest, like, I'm not surprised. That's how Sean is. You see him with Nina Drama. You see the things he says to Nina Drama. You see some of the way that these, remember Tom Aspinall talking about Nina Drama, like, what would you take to get fingered? Like, listen, I get crass jokes, man, and I'm as crass as they come. I'm probably more crass than Michael Bisping, but there's a time and place. And in a broadcast booth, when this girl is doing a better job than 90% of sports analysts and color commentators out there, like I say in the video, she does her homework. She trains in grappling. She trains in Muay Thai. She's not just a girl that watches the sport. This girl has dove headfirst in. She does her homework. She knows all the fighters, and for her to be humiliated, can you imagine? Someone coming off and like, I'd love for like some girl to just front up Michael Bisping in a perverted way and talked about his dick size. Oh, wait, well, the way you talk to Laura, man, that probably says you have a small dick. Can you imagine Michael Bisping's reaction if somebody said that to him? Like, yes. Oh, yeah, the way you talk to girls, like, oh, you probably have a small dick. And say it on a broadcast, he would turn so white, and he'd get so defensive, and he'd probably, like, if a man said that, he'd probably want to fight him. But Laura Sanko, as a woman, just has to sit there and take it because she can't fight. Like, come on, like, this is such a double entendre in the sense, like, Michael can say this because Laura can't react. But if someone says it to Michael, he's going to react and act like a little baby. So I just think it's such a two-way street. And I really hope, and I don't think he's going to. And I know this hurt Laura Sanko's feelings, even as a friend. Like, it's still, I'm sure it was traumatic to her. And, all this criticism she gets, oh, you slept with Dana White to get the job. Oh, the only reason you have a job is because you're a hot girl. Oh, you got the best tits in the game next to DC. And listen to DC. They're on a public broadcast right now, and DC is a professional. But if you even listen to him, this motherfucker, like, DC doesn't say MFer. DC doesn't say MFer on a broadcast. That just goes to show how offended he was. Like, he says it under his breath, but it's even wildly inappropriate for him to say that as a reaction. But for him to hold, and he's just like he can't believe what's happening, and for him to even slip out a MFer on a UFC broadcast is so out of character for him. That just goes to show how uncomfortable everybody in the broadcast booth was.
100%. I think you nailed it on the head. We got a bunch of people chiming in, so let me highlight some of these comments. Leandra says Bisping was probably intoxicated. Matthew says exactly what a dummy. And Prince says early in his career is way worse. He is more of a company guy now, but he can talk some smack. Leandro says Bisping's wife should leave him for a guy with 2 fake eyes. There you go. Honestly, DC has been far more inappropriate with food. Okay, very funny. And Pern says he would F you up for saying that. Yeah, when you talked about the small dick thing, he probably would. And yeah, it's true. Bisping is sensitive as hell. Yeah, he 100% is. He would be sensitive. It's like you mentioned, it's a big double standard. And I'm glad we talked about it. If you guys haven't checked out Justin's video in full, make sure to check it out. It just got like a little over 2,000 views, but I thought it was gonna go viral because he was the only one actually sticking up for Laura for what happened here, which was, it was a major, I think it was a major fumble, and it was just super disrespectful. I have a sister, and like, I understand, my sister is a physician. I understand what it's like to be in to see somebody that you care about who's a female be in a male dominated industry, right? In particular, my sister's a surgeon. So that's a heavily male dominated sector of medicine. So she's had to deal with like the same type of crap. And people just think they can talk like this. You know what I mean? It's really demeaning. And the last thing I'll say is I've been watching Laura Sanko for a long time. I've watched her on Submission Radio. I watch her on a lot of podcasts. And as Justin mentioned, yes, she's great at commentating, but she's really good at breaking down and analyzing fights. She has a great depth of knowledge. So all of that, when you make some stupid physical comment like Bisping did, it undermines all of the good work that she does. It's almost like she's there as a joke, but in reality, she's way more informed than Michael Bisping. She, as much as I love DC, she's more informed than DC too. She's probably the most informed person at that desk.
Here's the thing. When it comes to fighting, and sometimes I've done this, and I like to say it from an experience standpoint. First, I want to reiterate, I'm as crass as they come. I am a super pervert, guys. Like, I'm not saying Michael Bisping. I can't believe he said guy talk. Like, if this was off air and we heard it, okay, I probably wouldn't have anything to say about it. John Mutball will vouch. We are super weird like that, and I've said things like that 100 times, but never publicly to humiliate somebody. It's guy talk. It's locker room talk. I get that, and that's I don't have what he said. I don't have the problem with what the second guy. I have a problem with that guy because it's like, bro, like that's just who are you, bro? You're nobody. Michael Bisping has a relationship with her. If it was said off air, I probably wouldn't even say anything about it. But seeing that millions of people are going to see it it's just humiliating. And here's the thing, and I've been guilty of this before. I've been fighting and training for so long that sometimes I don't do my homework. If I feel like this last card for Fusion, like I knew the main event, I knew the co-main event. So it's like, what? I didn't have time to look up every fighter, and you weren't there doing the interviews. So I kind of just had to wing it from Tapology. Now, someone like Laura Sanko, who doesn't necessarily know all the moves or all the move sets, she's going to go back and do a lot more studying than me leading up, or more studying than Michael Bisping, because Michael Bisping's is relying off his knowledge of the sport. He's not at the gym trying to learn new technique. He's not in the grappling mat trying to learn new techniques right now because he's put so many times and years in. When you have someone like Laura Sanko who's constantly training every day now, because she's still trying to learn, she still has to feel like she has to catch up, not only being a woman, but she didn't fight for 20 years like Michael Bisping. She's not a former UFC champ. And, Dominic Cruz, I think, is the best at it. This guy does his homework every show. And there's actually an interview, a very deep interview that kind of blew me away. Dominic Cruz gets after Daniel Cormier about this. Have you seen it? He's like, you don't do your homework. You don't do your homework. And Daniel's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. He's like, all right, tell me about this guy. Tell me what this guy's record. How many finishes does this guy have? And DC's like, because he didn't do his homework. And Dominic Cruz did. So it's not a shot at DC by any means. I love DC. I like Michael Bisping too. I think he's a good commentator. I think he's a good sports analyst. He has a cool personality, but this is totally unprofessional. And someone like Laura Sanko, who's doing her homework every show, I think eventually, if not already, is a better color commentator, is a better sports analyst because she's staying up with current events and she's not relying off her 20 years of history in the sport.
Now, and I just want to say one thing. I know you're particularly annoyed or upset with that mentalist guy who comes in with no relationship and says what he says. And I agree, but I must say two things. Number one, Michael Bisping set the tone by making that comment. He shouldn't have made that comment whatsoever, in my opinion. And yes, I'm all for locker room talk. I get it, but it's not locker room talk when you're doing it on air. It's BS. It's total BS. So, and maybe he didn't realize it at the time, but I think looking back on it, reflecting now, if he were to ever see this, we only got like 17 people on the live right now, so maybe we'll see it. But if he sees it, he should apologize, and he should do it publicly so that it can actually help Laura Sanko as opposed to just doing it behind closed doors. He should do it publicly on his YouTube channel, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents. All right, we got a couple other comments here. Hey guys, Do you have a link for Justin's video? Yes, I do. Give me 2 seconds. Got 52 likes. I really thought it was going to get like 50,000 views. All right, there's the link.
I thought it was a good video. I thought it was a really good video too.
So Lane, I just posted it right there if you want to see it. Pern says, yes, Dominic is exceptional as a commentator, though that's a high bar. Yeah, but I think Laura is actually at that same level in terms of the research and everything that she does. Lane says, thank you. You're welcome. We got one more comment. So his reason for saying that was to embarrass her, belittling her. Who knows what his reason was? I have no idea. I think he just speaks before he thinks, perhaps. Maybe in retrospect, he might recognize that he made a mistake. But regardless of whatever the rationale was or lack thereof, he should come out and apologize. That's it. Clear the air. Don't do it again.
Should I message him?
Michael Bisping?
Like, hey man, are you going to apologize? Like after what you said to her? Or I mean, I don't really care if Michael Bisping doesn't like me. Like I like Michael Bisping. I think he's a great fighter, man. But I just call a spade, man. If I don't like something you do, like you can't be offended and you can't not like me because I have an opinion.
Dude, in this case, I would not care whatsoever. You're just stating what you feel, and you're sticking up for Laura anyway. So if he's got a problem with that, that's on him. That's a reflection of him probably feeling bad about it. Or if he really doesn't care and didn't do anything wrong, it should be like water off a duck's back. But yeah, I think if he looked back on this and watched it within the context of like what you're talking about, of course he would feel like an idiot because you can talk about English humor and dry humor and this and that, but like you have to look at it through an objective lens, and it was embarrassing and it was belittling, especially with what she has to go up against and her trying to establish her name. She wants to be a commentator. She doesn't just want to be an analyst at the desk. She's commentated one fight is my recollection, but that's what she's working towards. And I think she'd be like the first female commentator for the UFC. So she's got objectives, she's got goals. And I feel like these types of things, while they may seem innocuous, I think they get in the way of her trying to achieve those goals. So it's important. It's a big deal. Anyways, enough about that. I just thought it was important to shine a light on it because Justin did make a great video. Matthew says, great video. Well, thank you. Justin made a great video, and I think it's worthwhile to consider this and stick up for Laura. So we'll see if Bisping does the right thing. I'm not sure, but we shall see. A couple more comments, and we're going to wrap up our July 4th show. By the way, you guys are welcome. Most people are taking today off, not us. We are here. Pern says, best breakdown of DDP I've seen from Justin. Yeah, you guys should check that out as well. Andrew Nance also says, great vid. I guess he just watched it.
Thank you.
Muttball says, he is a professional. The UFC pays him more than McDonald's, and that wouldn't fly. That's true. Lane says, we don't expect special treatment for this community, just equal footing. Exactly. Last but not least, Andrew Nance with a perfect final comment. Happy 4th. And that is right, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th. Thank you for those of you guys who showed up. We had a little bit of a smaller audience today, but still a good audience. Like I said, we had 17 concurrents at what time, which is pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much. We are on that grind. We are on that climb.
Real quick.
Go for it.
Muttball, I'm in Michigan. If you're around, let's get together this weekend.
Hey, Michigan. Legend. I'm from Michigan as well. All right, guys, that's it. I'm exhausted. We're going to end our show right now. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you in the next episode, Monday, 1:30 p.m. PST. Take it easy.